Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave, and we are keeping it old school, going all the way back to 1931's The Public Enemy, starring James Cagney. Ah, wow. This is the genesis of mobster movies.
Mm-hmm.
And wow.
Yeah.
This is my second viewing. We actually reviewed this movie once before, and due to my great incompetence, I lost the episode before we could even share it. So here we are again.
I was just going to call it technical difficulties.
It was technical difficulties. They call that a PEBCAC error, that the problem exists between keyboard and chair. So, so anyway, sorry, I used to be in IT.
You turned it off and turn it back on again.
Pretty much, yes. Plug it, kick, stick, whatever. Dude, you turned me on to this movie because we started watching old movies, and this was one of the first ones when we really started going. And we did a block of gangster films with this. This movie, when you watch this, you see where all the other gangster movies out there that you watched pulled from.
Right.
And I'm talking not just the New York Mafia gangster movies, I'm talking all the way down to Boys in the Hood, South Central, Scarface.
I definitely saw Scarface in this.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
I don't mean the other Scarface, the 30s Scarface. I mean Pacino.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. What I saw watching this, I'm seeing a lot of Goodfellas. Scorsese definitely pulled from here. He even grabbed scenes and setups out of here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of some similar things. So this was obviously a big influence for Goodfellas. So, of course, you can't watch this and not see Johnny Dangerously.
Johnny Dangerously.
I never realized how much Michael Keaton channeled Cagney in Johnny Dangerously. You know, all the way to how he spoke, how he held his mouth, his facial expressions, his eyes. Keaton, I'm gonna have to go back and watch Johnny Dangerously again. It's like, holy crap! But there's so many references that they pulled from this movie.
Kat was laughing. There's a couple of times, and the only reason she's laughing, had we not known Johnny Dangerously, had we never watched it, had we never seen it, some of the scenes that we chuckled at, we wouldn't be chuckling at. But there's a scene where he's in the hospital and he does that to his mom. He gives her the chin nod, like, and I about freaking die. I mean, in the movie, like, if I were back in time and seeing this in the theater and I would have started chuckling there, everybody in the theater would have wanted to kill me. But if you see Johnny Dangerously, you'll be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. He was Cagney in Johnny Dangerously. He was Cagney all the way, man. It's like you had texted me that you can't see him act or whatever, or he's not working. And you're right. He's a great actor.
I'm sorry, I was going to say in every movie I've ever seen Cagney in, he looks like he's just walking in and he's saying the line and he's moving on. And it doesn't matter whether he's doing
at ease.
It doesn't matter whether he's doing a song and dance, whether he's doing, I think it's called Mr. Smith, where he's the crazy captain aboard the ship. If he's doing a gangster, if he's doing a love story, Yankee Doodle Dandy. His dancing technique in Yankee Doodle Dandy is astounding. I'm going
to have to watch it.
Let me tell you something. I was so mad at my mom one time because I saw Yankee Doodle Dandy. And I wanted to be Cagney after that. I didn't want to be Cagney because of Public Enemy. I didn't want to be Cagney because of the Roaring Twenties or, name a gangster movie, G-Men. I wanted to be Cagney because of fucking Yankee Doodle Dandy and the way he danced. It's a weird way of dancing. He dances so effortlessly. It's almost on the tip of his toes, and he just kind of floats while he's dancing. I can't even explain it. But after I saw that, I was like, I want to take dancing lessons. I want to learn how to tap dance. I want to dance like that. Nope. It's like, I want you to be in baseball. I hate baseball. I hate sports, folks. I'm the last guy you want to try and talk sports. If you want to talk Australian rules football or rugby, I'm good. I'm your man. A little bit of hockey, I can kind of fudge it.
Hockey and golf I'll talk about, but everything else, I don't know what you're talking about.
Golf, I'll go play golf. I'll hit the ball and walk after it. I mean, I'll go
Yeah.
chase it after I hit it in the wrong direction. I don't care. But I'll go play golf. I'll watch a baseball game at a minor league game.
Oh,
I don't like major league games. I just don't. I don't find them entertaining.
They're boring.
I don't want to watch multimillionaires play. But my point is, I never wanted to be in sports. I never wanted to do sports. I don't find it interesting. Not for me. I understand kids who are my age that wanted to be in sports, and then I understood kids my age that were like, I'd rather paint flowers. And I was a kid who wanted to paint flowers, or go dance or go do something. Anything other than freaking trying to swing a baseball bat and a moving object straight at my head.
No, I get it. And that's, you mentioned he made it effortless. His acting is effortless.
Yes.
There's not a time that I saw Cagney on the screen. It was always Tommy. It was always Tommy. And it was effortless. And it was just, there's something fascinating when you see somebody able to act like that and actually become, it just draws you in. And I could see why he was such a big name. And, it always cracks me up because when you hear, like from Bugs Bunny and and when they make fun of gangsters, they use Cagney's vernacular or his dialect, and they're, look, see, he's all,
Isn't he? Huh?
Yeah. And there's a lot of humor in this. Yeah.
That's the thing about this character. His character is almost likable.
Almost.
As long as you're not doing business with him and he's not sent out to kill you, he's almost the likable guy. Like his one friend that he had from childhood.
Yeah.
That guy you could see, I think he was on his way out. I think that guy was going to quit the work. I think he was going to retire. You just kind of see his character, getting ready to tell his friend, hey, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And I honestly think Cagney would have went, that's fine, that's cool, and then protected him for the rest of his life because they were friends. That's what friends do. And you see it, the spoilers, folks, this movie's almost 100 years old. It's like
almost 100 years old, and it is beautiful.
So I'm going to throw out a spoiler. His best friend gets killed, and Cagney has this look on his face. The first time I saw this movie as a kid, I thought, why is he smiling? Why is he laughing? He's not laughing. It just caught me that he was horrified. His friend tells him to go away. His friend's shot, and his friend is like, don't come get me. He doesn't say it. He just throws his hand up like, stay where you're at.
He's like, I'm gone, go.
His friend knows he's dying. And Cagney's watching from the end of the alley, everybody running around him. He sees his friend die. And he's got this expression on his face that if you're not paying attention, it looks like he's grinning. It looks like he's like almost laughing. But he's also, in his eyes, you see, I'm going to kill every motherfucker that has anything to do with my best friend just dying. And boy, howdy. How many gangsters does he kill that night?
Oh, 7, 10?
Lot. They were all big bosses. They weren't small gigs.
I love the boss's name. This sets up gangster names everywhere. Was it Schemer Burns? Schemer Burns. It made me instantly think. Yeah, Putty Nose. But when I heard Schemer Burns, I instantly went to the show on HBO called The Wire. And Idris Elba played a character named Stringer Bell. And it was just like such an odd name. And he was like a big gangster in that show. But man, that night he went into where Schemer's guys were meeting and he lit them up. And you could hear him screaming in the background. Yeah. There is very little violence on screen.
Yeah, the one guy was still crying. That scene was perfect. It's pouring down rain. You see all these head gangsters. They're all getting ready to chop up because the one guy that everybody followed for Cagney's group, the guy dies. He falls off a horse and gets killed. Another throwback from The Godfather, or steal from The Godfather. Uh, so Cagney's watching the guys hide the big bad guy's hideout that's taking all the business. He's taking over everything. So all these big gangsters come in, and you know they're the big gangsters. You know they're not just thugs, not just gats, gunmen.
Mhm.
These guys are big guys. There's like 10 of them. So you're like, these are 10 big bosses. They all go into this room, into this building. It's pouring down rain. It's at night. What a beautiful scene that is. What did you think of
Yes.
the way they set that up?
Dude, that's just what I was talking about. He shows up there and it's just you don't see anything, but you hear it all. You hear gunshots, you hear screaming, you hear bodies hitting the ground. The sound design in this movie is really good. And just you hear people moaning and crying in the background, and it's like it is damn. That's what I like about these old movies, and I think we need to go back to doing this. It's an artistic way of showing things without showing them. And as a viewer, I think I'm more appalled and I cringe more or whatever when my own imagination is worse than anything you can show me on screen. So that's
every time I see that scene, it's a different shootout.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Something else is happening in that room.
Yes. But you can see it. You can see the shootout in your head, man. It's
nobody dies like Cagney on screen. Nobody. Nobody has an on death. Nobody can out death Cagney on screen. That's all I'm going to say.
Have,
twice in this movie.
Yeah, well, the final one, I have a moment in the movie Radio F where I actually ended up with grass in my mouth when I went down so hard face first.
Did you really?
Yeah, spoiler alert, movie's not out, but I die in the end. Anyway, maybe it'll be out this century. That's nice. At least it's on IMDb finally.
Oh, it is? Okay. At least it's a step in the right direction, brother. That's awesome.
Some movement. Yeah. So anyway, this movie, this is like I said, second watch. It's better this time. I could go sit down and watch it again. It's just neat.
Did you recognize his second girlfriend that he picks up whenever
she looks so damn familiar? I'm like, I was just staring at her the whole time. Who?
Jean Harlow.
Oh, that was Jean Harlow. Okay.
I've seen Jean Harlow in a lot of movies. I think, and this is probably a really early movie for her. Mm-hmm. This is probably some of her worst acting.
Yeah.
But boy, howdy, it doesn't matter whether she can act.
And that's just it. It's like,
this is where my sexist man spine comes out.
Well,
she was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I would put her in anything. She would just,
of course, you would.
So stunning.
That's just it. Stunning. When she shows up instantly, she takes the movie. It's when she's on screen. This is, if I was making movies, that's absolutely who I'd want. Bring her over here, because I don't care if she can act or not. She had such a magnetism there on the screen and just a presence. So absolutely, I could see why Jean Harlow was such a big name.
But, absolutely gorgeous. The girl, Joan Blondell was
another one.
That was maybe. Do you remember who Joan Blondell is?
Dude, no.
Joan Blondell was in Grease. She's the lady that was the waitress that everybody, the old waitress. That's Joan Blondell.
Oh my God!
I'm almost positive. I didn't look it up,
but
I'm almost
accurate. That's actually really cool. Really cool.
I'm gonna look it up now. I got to look it up because I'm saying it. And I'm like,
well, you look that up, and so. Yes, this movie was really interesting. This is 1931, and it starts off with a little story card that just basically says that in response to gangsters being made heroes or shown in a light, it's almost as if the filmmakers said, "We're going to show you the reality of what this life is, what this life does to families, what it does to the communities." This movie's bigger than just Tommy. And that's why when I saw that, and that it reminded me of more modern gangster movies, especially with the African-American films like South Central and New Jack City and all these others who did the same thing. showing a message and showing the destruction that it causes and how it tears people up. So it's like, wow, look at this. But it was neat to see that in there. It's like, oh, you're sending a message already. But dude, I would not want to have been around prohibition. What some bullshit laws was that?
Well, Kat and I were talking about that also. It's like, you know what? The government always knows how to make money. And when I say the government, I mean politicians. Because you know every politician that voted for that shit
got
made
paid.
money. They were all getting paid. They were all getting paid by the gangsters. They were all getting paid by everybody. It's funny because Matt Doyle, the character of Matt Doyle, played by Edward Woods. That's the petty gangster that they start working with. He says something about, yeah, it's the real McCoy. And I started chuckling, and for a couple of reasons. That line shows up in one of my favorite British sitcoms / science fiction shows, Red Dwarf. But I know the history of the real McCoy. It was a guy named McCoy that used to run liquor across I think it was the Detroit River, if I remember correctly, in either, I want to say maybe some of it was Detroit River, but I want to say it was up in Maine too, because there was salt through Miami, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to figure out all his routes, but it started in Miami from Cuba or something like that. And the reason anybody would call something the real McCoy is because all his bottles would have a small layer of like salt water. Right, on the bottles. So there'd be salt on it. So if you got Daisy, stop it. So if you got a bottle from McCoy, and you could basically lick the bottle and know there was salt on it, you'd be like,
isn't that interesting?
Anybody would buy it would be like, well, that's the real McCoy. The guy never killed anybody. The guy never had a shootout. The guy never cheated anybody. He always got his money and just left. I think he banked it. I think he would just get his money. He'd invest it and shit. This is the story that I heard. Now, I don't know how much of this is true.
Right.
But for all intents and purposes, the guy was an honest gangster. He kept a very small group of guys around him. They did their job and they went home. That was it. And nobody fucked with him because he could get the liquor and get it to you. He very rarely ever dumped it if the cops or anybody was boarding him. Usually he'd either pay somebody off or he'd just let him take the liquor and be like, okay. Usually out in international waters, so they couldn't arrest him. If he got out to international waters, they just left him alone.
Right.
Too much paperwork. So I just thought the term the real McCoy was so interesting when I heard him say that. I was like, crap, they were using that back then. But by then, the guy was already a legend.
There's a
By the time they made this movie, I'm like, holy crap.
There's a couple scenes in this movie that I just laugh out loud at. And one is when he's being fitted for a suit.
Oh my God.
There's this really effeminate tailor, that's the word. I was like, what are they? Tailors. Measuring him out or whatever. And Cagney keeps pointing to his waist. Need more room out down here. And it gets up to his arms like, oh, this is where you need more room. Look at those muscles. And he said, you keep that up and I'll show you what those muscles are for.
I'll tell you what that muscle's for.
It's like, oh my God.
The guy goes to measure his waist and he puts the thing around him, gets real close and pulls it forward. And you can just see Cagney looking at him like, I'm going to knock your teeth out. And his friend is over there watching him like, God, this guy's a dead man. He doesn't even realize it. The guy's just giving off numbers, 30, 42, 24, 42, whatever.
But you know what? This is 1931. There's a gay person on my movie screen and nobody makes a deal about it.
Here's the funny thing. When they re-released that movie, because of the code, that was pre-code. This is a pre-code movie.
Oh my God, they took that scene out?
Because of the code, they took that scene out. They took that character out until 2005 when they put that scene back in.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
No shit. Because the first time I saw this, and I don't know how many years when I saw it before we watched it, I was stunned at the character being in there because I didn't remember him. And then I did a little research. I'm like, oh, how do I not remember this character? I did a little
That's
research, and
why.
it turns out they took the character out because the
Wow.
code said you can't do that, and they put him back in. And there is one little conversation that I found. I don't know where the hell I read it. I read it last night though. That Cagney had with Jean Harlow. And he didn't, he's a young guy at this point. I'm not sure how old he was at this point, but probably pretty naive.
He looked pretty young.
He was a country boy from, I want to say Jersey. I think he was
Oh, wow.
I know he owned a farm in Jersey, and that's where he lived, like the majority of his life. But Jean Harlow's on set, and he's just looking at her tits. And she's like, "What are you looking at?" He goes, "I just want to know how you get your nipples so hard." And she's like, "I put ice on them," and turns around and walks away into her. And she was not offended. She didn't, slap him. Nothing. She's just being Jean Harlow.
What a
and
crazy
he's being
story.
Cagney.
Yeah.
It's like, but he did the question just came out of like, how are they always hard? And she's like, "I just put ice on them." And she turns around and she just kind of looks over her shoulder and goes into her dressing room, assumingly to put ice on her nipples before she comes back out. And I read that and I'm like, what an obscure thing to.
I know, right? There's something random there, folks. As you've probably guessed, this movie does not have a happy ending. It does not end well, and I feel so bad for Ma.
Feel bad for Ma because you know that. Do you see the brother at the end of that?
Yeah,
I'm thinking that brother decided to go do some hunting.
He did. And that's what I was watching that. I didn't catch that the first time. This time I'm watching.
No, neither did I.
This time I watched, I was like, I want the sequel. I want to see
Where's
Michael
the next
go.
one where the brother kills everybody.
Everybody, because he comes back from the war. He's obviously very injured mentally from what he's been through. And here's the thing. They never say any of that, but is shot and done so well. This man came back broken.
Oh, and he didn't want that, and he's trying to get his brother out of that.
He's trying to get he's an honest man. He's trying really hard. He knows his brother's a crook, but he still loves his brother. And I thought that was written and done so well that you could see all of that. Like I said, I'm ready to go watch this again tonight.
Well, there's a really good scene between him and the brother. And the brother's talking about the booze because his friend goes, "Here, have a beer." He's like, knocks the beer, pours the beer out. He's like, "I don't want
just
that."
Just the look on his face, man.
And he's like, and the friend is looking at him like, what the hell's the problem? Yeah. The friend isn't as bad as Cagney. Okay? Let's just put it that way.
No,
but
he's got
some sense.
The
brother looks at Cagney and says, this is dead man's money or something like that, or that's, this is blood money. And he's just giving Cagney shit. And Cagney's walking out and he finally turns around and he says, "You didn't get all those medals on your chest for being an angel. You killed a lot of guys, and you probably killed a lot more than I ever did." He goes, "And the difference is you liked it."
Yeah.
And he turns around and walks away. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, shit. What a thing to say to your brother.
Yeah.
But was Cagney wrong?
Oh. Well, they both were right.
They were both right about the other one.
They absolutely were. They
it's how you looked at your position.
And it's neat. Dude, I never realized that's the whole backstory running through this is the two brothers.
Yeah.
That's the whole B story on this movie. And it starts off with them. Or it does start off with
starts off with them as kids.
Yes.
Because Cagney's screwing around with his girlfriend. The brother winds up basically getting ready to marry the girl that he's known since he was a little kid.
Yep.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's good. And the brother's always knocking him out. Brother's always knocking him on his ass.
Yep.
and didn't put up with any shit. He didn't give a shit who his brother was. Freaking smacks him. The scene with Putty Face or Putty Nose, whatever the hell the
Buddy knows.
guy's nickname was, when Tom Powers, who is James Cagney, and Leslie Fenton. No, Leslie Fenton was Nails. I'm sorry. I'm looking for his friend.
He looked like a Leslie.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm looking for his friend. I don't see his friend in here. The guy that was his best friend, Danny. Yeah, I don't see
Maddie.
See Mike Powers, Blondell. Anyway, Danny and Tom go to see Putty Nose because Nails gives them the direction. This guy's been talking shit. He's gonna roll over on you guys, whatever the case may be. And the guy's begging for his life. And Cagney plays that so cold. Like really cold.
Dude. Yes.
And I was like, holy shit. Even his friend is looking at him like, and I think to me, that's when I realized his friend was going to try and get out.
Yeah. His friend had enough. He wasn't going to stop. He wasn't going to stop Cagney at all. He wasn't going to stop Tommy.
He wasn't going to roll over on him. He just looked around. That was, I think, the moment when he looked around and went, how the hell do I get out of this? I just got to leave.
The first second of that interaction between Putty Nose and Cagney in his apartment, you know how it's going to turn out just by the look on Cagney's face. I can't praise this man enough.
Oh my God!
And
that's what I mean.
Wow.
That's not. If Cagney walked into a room back in the day, they would have scared the shit out of me with the expressions on his face.
After watching this movie,
I'd have been like,
terrified.
Crap. Sorry,
here's
Mr.
the thing.
Cagney.
He's a psycho in this, and not an over the top, but he's got issues. But he's almost likable,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's not like Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas, where everybody knew this guy had a razor thin,
oh my God,
cord and would kill you as soon as look at you. Although Cagney's character would kill you just as soon as look at you, he would also take a joke as long as you were his friend. Like his one buddy, if somebody would have told him to kill his friend Danny, he would have killed the guy who gave him that order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they told you to go kill Putty Nose, all right, I'll kill. Sure. No sweat off my butt.
And that was kind of neat. They there was so much going on with Putty Nose at the beginning. Again, showing what's actually going on out in the streets even today.
Yeah.
Here's an adult who has wrangled up some kids with some fun songs and treating them well and probably buying them little drinks there and stuff. And they're stealing stuff for him. That happens today still. And it's just everywhere you look at this movie now, I again, just only my second time, but I saw so much more. So there's a lot here.
I get it, man. And Cagney is so just effortless.
That's
on
it.
Screen.
Beautiful. You want to see somebody act? There it is.
It's almost like everybody else tries to come up to his level, but nobody in this movie is on his level. As far Doyle, Matt Doyle is on his level. The guy who plays Matt Doyle. Again, that's Edward Woods.
Yeah.
Matt, I think that's the old guy. That's the guy they go to work with. I'm almost sure of it.
No, that's Patty Ryan, I think.
Patty Ryan is so Matt Doyle is probably his friend.
That's his best friend, Matty.
That's his best friend. Okay, then Doyle is one, or Ryan is the guy that I'm thinking of. Yeah, Patty Ryan. That's it. That's the cop.
I thought he was the one who ran the bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I thought Ryan was the gangster.
Regardless,
anyway, the gangster. The guy who plays the gangster, the petty gangster, is effortless too. When you see him, because he's out on the porch talking to his brother, and that's when his acting ability really, really shines. He's like, the brother's like, "Well, I'm going to go." He's like, "You're going to do nothing. You're going to go in there and you're going to answer the phone. You're going to call me if anything happens." His brother never made the freaking phone call. His brother should have made the phone call. That gangster would have had guys at his door before those other gangsters got there. Because you know they were close by. You know the gangsters were close by. But that guy was really good actor too. He played that part really well.
They were all good.
Yeah, they all play their part really well. But Cagney is just we're gonna have to watch Public Enemy because I started watching Public Enemy by accident.
You mean Roaring Twenties? We did watch Public Enemy. You got them twisted again.
Yeah, did I? Okay, yeah. Roaring Twenties. That's the one we're gonna.
There we go. There we
go. We're doing Public Enemy. I did twist it again, didn't I?
Let's just do Roaring Twenties after this, so we can go on to that. So,
folks, I'm watching Roaring Twenties. I got to just tell this real quick story. I'm watching Roaring Twenties, thinking that I'm watching Public Enemy, forgetting what Scott said we were going to watch, and I'm watching it. In the first 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't remember Bogey being in this movie. I don't remember. Why are they in World War One? I don't remember any of this. Hey, man, what movie are you supposed to be watching? You're like Public Enemy, like, oh, shit. Are you sure it's not Roaring Twenties?
No.
Nope. So that's how my night was last night. I was like, oh, okay, I got to find this movie. And I have this on DVD somewhere. Couldn't find it last night, so I had to rent it. But it's worth the rent. It is absolutely.
I ended up buying it. It's sometimes the purchase is just as close to the rental price. So it's like, might as well.
Don't forget, folks, if you have a library card, most libraries have DVD now, and they have a whole big collection. It's almost like going to an old DVD video rental store. Get it for a couple of days, bring it back.
Yep.
You don't have to rewind though.
You will probably find stuff that you can't get elsewhere because so much is out of print and not on streaming, and it's just a nightmare trying to find some things.
And I am rebuilding my DVD CD collection right now.
I am working on that as well. I know I'm kicking myself in the butt.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you would like a trip down memory lane and you're a fan of gangster movies and want to see where your favorite gangster movie got its inspiration, I guarantee it came from here. So if you like our show, hit the like, the share, hit the subscribe, and catch us next week.
Don't be afraid to share us around.
Yeah. We'll catch you next week with more old ass movies. Shit.